My name's Daniel. I'm 31. And if you asked anyone in my family to describe me, you'd probably get a polite nod followed by a whispered, "He's around sometimes." That's fine. I've always been the quiet one, the one who moved out early, kept to myself, built a business, and never made a scene. I didn't go to every family gathering. I wasn't in the group chats 24/7, and I didn't plaster my life all over Facebook like my cousins did. But when things broke, cars, relationships, budgets, my name suddenly popped up again. Because I always helped. Quietly. I never rubbed it in. I just paid the bill, covered the emergency, or sent the check. It was easier than the drama, and I told myself I was doing it for the people I cared about, even if they barely seemed to care about me back. That's why, when my cousin Sophie announced her wedding, I didn't expect an invite at first. We weren't close growing up. She was loud, popular, always center stage. I was the guy with the headphones in the corner at Thanksgiving. But she invited me. And not only that, she asked to talk the week after the engagement. She came to my place, all bright-eyed, talking about venues and themes and how expensive weddings are these days. Her fiancé, Leo, stood beside her looking slightly uncomfortable while she walked me through what was clearly a rehearsed pitch. They weren't asking for money directly, of course. They just wondered if I knew anyone who could help or had advice on vendors. But I got the hint. I always get the hint. I told her I'd think about it. And I did. I sat on it for a few days, then called a few people I trusted. The florist I'd worked with on a company event. The DJ I hired for a fundraiser. I even had contacts at a nice boutique venue that owed me a favor. I negotiated, quietly pulled strings, and made sure every piece of her dream wedding, the flowers, the music, the lighting, even the bar, was taken care of. I paid the deposits anonymously through my LLC. No one needed to know. I didn't want a pat on the back or a shout out during speeches. I just wanted to give her a beautiful day because in some strange way, that's always been how I felt closest to family, by showing up in ways they never saw coming. The wedding was this past spring, late April, cherry blossoms and lanterns. Sophie had picked a light blush theme, everything soft and romantic. I showed up in a charcoal gray suit, quiet as always. I wasn't seated at the front tables. They had me with some extended relatives I barely knew, and that was fine. I didn't mind. I watched as Sophie walked down the aisle, watched Leo tear up, watched everyone cheer during the kiss. And for a while, I let myself think this was going to be a good night. That maybe I didn't need to be seen to matter. That maybe it was enough just to contribute in silence. Then came the dinner. Long tables, flickering candles, soft jazz playing in the background. I was halfway through my plate of salmon when I caught my mom's voice carrying over the music. She was at the head table, of course. Our family always finds a way to stay close to the spotlight, and she was leaned in close, speaking to Leo's parents. Loud enough that I could hear every word from 3 tables away. "Oh, that one," she said, nodding toward me with her wine glass. "That's Daniel. The disappointment. We don't talk about him unless we need money." I froze, fork halfway to my mouth. Leo's mom let out a polite laugh. My aunt, sitting nearby, actually giggled and sipped her drink. And my sister, perfect Emily with the Pinterest family, the photogenic husband, and the matching outfits for every occasion, just smirked like it was an inside joke she'd heard 1,000 times. No one looked uncomfortable. No one corrected her. And no one thought I'd heard. I sat there, completely still, staring at the white tablecloth as something hot rose in my chest. It wasn't anger. Not yet. It was more like confirmation of everything I'd always quietly feared. That to them, I wasn't family. I was a resource. I looked around the room. The twinkling lights, the hanging roses, the perfect dance floor setup. All of it had come together seamlessly. All of it because of me. And yet here I was, invisible. Worse than invisible. A punchline. My hand gripped the fork tighter. I should have let it go, right? Just finished the meal, said my polite goodbyes, and left. Like always. Let them talk. Let them laugh. Who cares? But something shifted in me. Something old and tired and done. I got up. I didn't storm. I didn't make a scene. Not yet. I just walked calmly toward the back hallway, where the venue manager was stationed with his clipboard. His name was Andre, a tall guy in a vest with a Bluetooth earpiece. We'd been in touch for weeks during the planning. I'd signed every agreement. Paid every invoice. "Hey, Andre," I said quietly. "You still have that payment slip I gave you for final clearance?" He looked up, surprised to see me. "Yeah, of course. Everything squared away. What? I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a different slip. The one I prepared a week ago, just in case. A cancellation notice. Signed. Dated. With instructions to halt final payment if presented before 9 p.m. Use this one instead. He blinked. You serious? Very. He hesitated. You sure you want to do this mid-event? I smiled for the first time that night. Oh, I think the timing's perfect. I turned around and walked back into the reception hall. The DJ had just switched to a dance mix, and the floor was filling up. Sophie and Leo were spinning under the lights, her dress twirling, guests clapping. My mom was still near the head table, glass in hand. My sister had moved to the bar, where she was chatting with one of Leo's friends. Everyone looked blissfully unaware. I made my way toward the mic stand, positioned by the stage, just next to the cake. The best man had finished his speech about 15 minutes earlier, so the mic was still hot, waiting for the next moment. I stepped up, adjusted the height, and tapped twice. The room didn't go silent right away. It took a second. Then people turned. Conversations paused. Even the DJ faded the track down. All eyes slowly shifted toward me. The guy in the back, the quiet one. The disappointment. I cleared my throat. Hi, I said, calm and steady. I just want to say thank you all for coming tonight. It's been a beautiful evening. Really. Sophie stopped dancing. Leo turned to look at me. My mom furrowed her brows, tilting her head like she couldn't quite believe what I was doing. I know most of you don't know me that well, I continued. But I'm Daniel, the cousin, the one they apparently only mention when they need money. A few people laughed awkwardly. My aunt shifted in her seat. But that's okay, I said. Because I like helping. I do. I like knowing that people can have what they want without worrying about how it all comes together. So when Sophie said this wedding was too expensive, I stepped in. Quietly. I covered the flowers, the lighting, the open bar, the DJ, even the deposit on this gorgeous venue. The silence now was absolute. But I also made sure the final payment wasn't processed until tonight, just in case anything changed. I reached into my coat again and held up a folded slip. This, I said, is the change. Then I stepped down, walked past the stunned faces, and handed the paper to Andre. Behind me, the mic squeaked. The music didn't start up again. And before I even hit the front door, I heard someone shout my name. But I didn't turn around. Not yet. Because what came next, what happened once they realized what I'd just done, was the part I'd been waiting for all my life. The rain had started. Not a storm. Not yet. Just a slow, steady drizzle. The kind that soaks through suit fabric and makes streetlights shimmer. I stepped out beneath the canopy and stood for a moment on the front patio of the venue, listening. Behind me, the muffled chaos had begun. Voices rising. A chair scraping harshly against the floor. A burst of someone shouting, "Wait. What do you mean canceled?" I didn't smile. Not yet. I was calm, but my heart was pounding, steady and cold. I turned my phone screen face down in my pocket. No pictures. No recording. This wasn't for social media. This was personal. The heavy doors behind me creaked open, and I heard heels click fast on the stone path. Sophie's voice, sharp, panicked, cut through the rain. "Daniel," she called. "Wait, can we talk?" I didn't move. I waited until she was beside me, her dress bunched at her knees to keep it from dragging through a puddle. Her hair, done in curls and pearls, was starting to frizz at the edges. "What did you do?" she snapped, voice low but dangerous. I turned slowly and looked her in the eye. I withdrew my gift. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. "What? You can't just. This is my wedding." "I know," I said quietly. "And I wanted it to be perfect. I wanted it so badly to be enough." Sophie's mouth opened, but I kept going. "But then I heard Mom." I said. I heard what she said. That I'm a disappointment. That I don't count. That I'm only family when my name's on the invoice. She blinked rapidly, mascara already smudging. "She didn't mean that," she said. "She was just being—" "Sophie." I interrupted, my voice firmer now. "You sat at that table and laughed. You let her say it. You didn't even flinch." She crossed her arms. "I was trying not to make a scene. It's my wedding day. And I was trying to do something kind," I said. "But you don't get to take my money and then pretend I don't exist." She bit her lip. Her hands shook. "But you already paid." "No," I said. "I paid the deposit, not the balance." The contract was clear, no final payment, no continued services after 9 p.m. And it's 8:52. She looked past me, toward the glass doors, where lights flickered inside. You ruined this. You blew up my wedding. No, I said, taking a step back into the rain. Your words did. That's when the second wave hit. Emily, my sister, was next out the door, holding her phone in one hand, already typing furiously into the family group chat, no doubt. Her husband trailed behind, silent as ever, probably wondering if he was supposed to intervene. Behind them came Mom, moving slower, more deliberate, like she'd rehearsed whatever she was about to say. Daniel, Mom said, chin lifted. What kind of childish tantrum is this? I looked at her. No tantrum, I said. Just a receipt. We've been nothing but supportive. I laughed. Short, flat. Supportive? I paid off Emily's car loan last year, and you told people she did it herself. I covered your medical deductible in February, and you told your church friends it was a government grant. You use me like a credit card and call it love. Her eyes narrowed. Don't be dramatic. You chose to help. I did, and I don't regret helping. I regret thinking it would make me matter to you. She opened her mouth, but I didn't give her the chance. You think I'm a disappointment? That I'm not worth talking about unless I'm holding the checkbook? Fine. Then talk about this. Figure out how to fix tonight without me. And then the doors behind them opened wide. Andre stood there, calm but tense, holding a clipboard and gesturing to the DJ, who had already unplugged his laptop. The room behind them was a buzz of confusion, guests whispering, waiters slowing down service, some already beginning to clear plates. And Sophie turned back toward the building like she was about to sprint back in and start shouting. Instead, she spun on me again, hands shaking. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is going to be? She hissed. I tilted my head. Good. Her mouth opened again, but my sister cut in first. You're just jealous, Emily sneered. Always have been. That caught me off guard. I actually laughed. Jealous of what? Being part of a family that only pretends I exist when there's a bill to pay. You ruined this night. Emily shouted. No, I said again. You did. You just didn't realize the person you insulted was the one holding it all together. The rain picked up a little. I watched as Mom grabbed Emily's arm and tried to corral them both back inside, muttering about damage control. Sophie lingered a moment longer, and her eyes flickered with something I hadn't seen before. Not rage, not sadness. Just fear. Not fear of me. Fear of being exposed. Of people finding out the wedding wasn't just family-funded. It was Daniel-funded. And now, very suddenly, it wasn't. I turned and walked down the steps, toward the gravel drive, ignoring the rising voices behind me. As I reached my car, a modest black sedan I parked away from the limos, I saw my phone light up. 17 missed messages. 3 calls. The group chat was blowing up. I ignored them. Then, just as I opened my car door, a new name appeared on the screen. Leo. I paused. Of all the people, he was the only one who hadn't spoken yet. I stared at the call for a moment, and then picked up. But before I say what happened next, before I tell you what Leo said and how that one conversation turned this entire mess upside down, I need you to understand what I heard in his voice the second I answered. Because it wasn't panic. It wasn't anger. It was regret. And that changed everything. I sat in the driver's seat, one hand on the door, the rain drumming a steady rhythm across the windshield. I wasn't cold, but I was shaking, that deep, hollow tremble that comes when something inside you finally snaps after holding tension for far too long. The phone still buzzed softly in my hand. Leo. Still calling. I answered with a flat, quiet, yeah. There was silence for a second. No shouting. No scolding. Just static and breathing. Then he said, I didn't know. I didn't respond. I swear to you, Daniel, he said, voice low but steady. I didn't know it was you. Sophie said the venue gave them a huge discount. I thought maybe it was just some family friend hookup, or I didn't know you paid for everything. I leaned my head back against the seat and stared at the ceiling. I believed him. That was the worst part. I believed every word. Leo had always seemed decent. A little passive, sure, but not malicious. Not manipulative. And certainly not like the rest of my family. Which is probably why, in hindsight, I was okay helping him marry into it. He kept talking. And what your mom said, God, man. I heard it too. I was behind the bar when she said it. I looked over at you and saw you just freeze. I swallowed. So you heard it. And you still stood up and gave your little speech about how every part of this wedding was made possible by the love of both our families. He hesitated. I panicked. I almost laughed. That seems to be a theme. There was silence on the line again. Then he said something I didn't expect. She's not who I thought she was. That hit harder than anything else. She was great when it was just the two of us, he said quickly. But this wedding, your mom, your sister, all of it. It's like the minute the planning started, she turned into someone I didn't recognize. Controlling, shallow, obsessed with appearances. I thought she was just stressed, but now, he trailed off. I exhaled slowly. You chose her, Leo. I know, he said. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. I sat upright. What? I need to tell you something. And I need you to come back for it. I narrowed my eyes. Come back to the wedding? No, he said. Come back inside. Just for a minute. Please. Before everything else unravels. Leo, I'm not asking you to fix anything, he said quickly. I'm not asking you to pay for anything. I'm asking you to hear something. From me. In front of everyone. I gripped the steering wheel. My heart was pounding again, harder this time. I know I don't have the right, he continued. But if you ever cared at all, even a little, just give me 5 minutes. I didn't answer right away. I just sat there, feeling the heat from the vents, the mist on the windows, the tension building all over again. What could he possibly say? What could possibly make this worth walking back into that room? After the smirks, the lies, the mockery. And yet, there was something in his voice. Not desperation, not manipulation, conviction. So I killed the engine, grabbed my coat, and stepped back out into the rain. Inside, the atmosphere had shifted. The lights were still on, but dimmer now, like someone had turned down the brightness to reflect the awkward tension hanging in the air. The DJ was gone. The bar was half-shuttered. Waitstaff were nervously collecting half-finished drinks and uneaten cake slices. Guests whispered in corners. A few people were already leaving, murmuring about refunds, and what a shame, really. I walked in through the side entrance, unnoticed at first. Then Leo saw me. He was on the stage, mic in hand, suit slightly damp, tie loosened like he'd just been in a fight with it. He met my eyes and gave me the faintest nod. Okay, he said into the mic. I know tonight didn't go the way any of us expected. And before anyone else leaves, I need to say something. People turned. Conversation stopped. My mom, near the front with a napkin in her hand, froze mid-whisper. Leo continued. I was going to give a speech about how grateful I am for both of our families, how much support we had, how loved we felt. But I'm not going to lie to all of you anymore. Sophie appeared from the hallway then, makeup smeared, face red. She stopped dead when she saw me in the back. Her eyes flicked between me and Leo, then to the mic. Tonight happened because one person in this room made it happen, Leo said. He paid for the flowers, the DJ, the lights, the bar, the venue. And he didn't do it for praise. He did it quietly, without asking for credit. That person is Daniel. All eyes turned to me. Some shocked, some confused. And I found out, he said, not because he bragged, but because someone else made it really, really clear he wasn't appreciated. He looked directly at my mom. And I think that's disgusting. A ripple moved through the room. Leo didn't flinch. I've spent the last year thinking I was marrying into a family that valued kindness, loyalty, and love. But what I saw tonight, what I heard, was entitlement, mockery, and a complete lack of respect for the person who literally made this night possible. He looked back at me. Daniel, I know you didn't do this for attention. I know you're probably halfway out the door already. But if you can hear me, I'm sorry. Sophie shot forward, grabbing his arm. What are you doing? Leo shrugged her off. What I should have done the second I heard your mother laugh at him. She hissed something at him, too low for me to hear. He didn't blink. I still care about you, he said, voice shaking slightly. But I'm not going to pretend I didn't see what I saw. And I'm not going to start my marriage by lying to the one person who's never asked for anything in return. He turned back to the mic. I'll be outside, he said. I think I need some air. And with that, he set the mic down and walked straight toward me. I didn't move. He passed guests staring, mouths agape. My aunt covered her face. My mom stood stock still, pale. My sister looked like she'd just witnessed a car crash in slow motion. And when Leo reached me, he said quietly, "Let's go." I followed him out the side door, back into the rain. He didn't say anything for a while. Neither did I. And then, as we stood beneath the overhang, the last of the wedding music echoing faintly behind us, Leo turned and said something that made me freeze all over again. "You might want to come by tomorrow morning," he said. "I think there's something you should see." And it's not the wedding photos. I raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? But he just gave me a look, the kind that says everything and nothing at once, and then walked off toward the parking lot, leaving me alone again in the drizzle. Whatever it wasn't over. Not yet. I didn't sleep that night. I drove home in silence, the kind that fills your head with echoes. My phone kept buzzing. Missed calls, angry texts from my mother, Emily, even Sophie. Most weren't worth reading. One from Sophie just said, "You're cruel." Another from Mom read, "You humiliated us." The only one that gave me pause came from Leo, right before midnight. 9 a.m. Her parents' house. Come alone. So I did. I showed up in jeans and a plain hoodie. No suit. No performance. The house wasn't far. Big, white-trimmed, paid off from 2 generations of quiet inheritance. I recognized the cars in the driveway. Her parents, her older brother's Tesla, even my sister's SUV parked across the curb. I rang the bell once. Leo answered. He looked tired, like he hadn't slept either, but his eyes were clear. Focused. No hesitation. "She's in the living room," he said, stepping aside. "They all are." I followed him through the hallway and into the open living room, where everyone turned to stare at me like I was the unwanted guest who'd wandered in during a funeral. The air was thick, the kind of tension that makes you feel like every breath might crack the walls. Sophie was sitting on the edge of the couch, arms crossed, tear tracks still faint on her cheeks. Her parents sat beside her, stiff and indignant. My sister Emily leaned against the wall near the fireplace, scrolling through her phone like none of this applied to her. My mother, of course, sat center stage, straight-backed in an armchair like she was running a board meeting. No one said anything. So Leo spoke. "I wanted you all here because I needed to say this once. Out loud. Without spin. Without pretending everything's fine." He looked at Sophie, then at her parents. "I can't marry into this." Her mother gasped. Her father stood. "Excuse me." Leo raised a hand. "I love Sophie. Or I did. But this family? This toxicity? The way you treat Daniel, the only person in this room who's done anything selfless, is disgusting. You expect people to give without thanks, take without guilt, and then mock them behind their backs." Sophie's voice cracked. "So what? You're breaking up with me?" "I'm ending an engagement based on lies and entitlement," Leo said. "I won't build a life on that." Her father started shouting. Her mother tried to talk over him. Emily looked up finally, smirked, and went back to scrolling. Then my mom stood. "Daniel," she said, trying for calm. "This has gone far enough. You've made your point." "No," I said, stepping forward. "I haven't." I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a folder. I handed it to Leo, who opened it without hesitation. Inside were copies of every payment I'd made toward the wedding, vendor contracts, bank transfers, timestamps, receipts. I'd printed them all, labeled them, annotated with the names of people who signed each agreement. I nodded at Leo. "Give that to your lawyer if they try to spin the story." I waived all refunds. The vendors got paid. What I didn't pay for, they didn't receive. End of story. Leo gave me a firm nod, then looked back at the room. "There's one more thing," I said. I turned to my mother. "You wanted a family that didn't embarrass you. That didn't disappoint you. That didn't ask for anything. Well, congratulations. You have one." "Because I'm done." She stiffened. "Daniel, I've removed myself from the family group chat. I've cut every automatic payment. The house you live in was under my name. As of yesterday morning, the title's been transferred back to me. You have 60 days. Her face paled. Emily gasped. "You wouldn't dare," she snapped. "I did," I replied. "Check your email. It's all there." I looked at Emily next. "And your husband's car?" "The lease was in my name. I canceled it. The dealership picks it up Tuesday." She dropped her phone. Sophie was silent. Her mascara had started running again. Her father kept glancing between me and the papers, then turned to his daughter. "You told me the family paid for this," he growled. She said nothing, just pressed her face into her hands. Leo handed the folder back to me, but I shook my head. "Keep it. You'll need it." Then I turned to go. As I walked toward the door, I heard my mom whisper, barely loud enough, "You think you're better than us now?" I didn't even pause. "No," I said, pulling open the door. "I always was. I just stopped hiding it." And with that, I stepped out into the morning light. The rain had passed, but the ground was still wet, soaked from the night before, from all the damage that couldn't be undone. I didn't look back. I drove away free. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't the disappointment. I was the one they'd regret underestimating. Forever.